Yes, Soumya.
Okay, today we need to discuss up to enter data, so recent sources and everything, right? We need to discuss about the data source settings. Okay, what is data source settings is nothing but that means what all the paths are saved here itself. Data source is data source settings is nothing but all the paths are saved here. That means you are connecting to the different data sets, right? That means Excel or a SQL server or a SharePoint or any data source. Okay, so if you connected to that particular Excel or anything means those related paths are saved in the data source settings. Okay, so in this particular data source settings, you will have two options are there. One is data sources in current file and global permissions. Data sources in current file and global permissions. Okay, in data source in current file, all the paths are available here itself. That means, so if you connected with an Excel, those related paths. If you connected to the SQL server, those related paths. That means if it is a SQL server, you will see the server name and database name like that. Okay, that means if it is an Excel, from where you are getting this particular Excel, okay, that particular related path, you can see it here itself. Okay, that it is about data sources in current file. In data sources in current file, all the paths are saved here itself. Okay, that mean, but when you go to the global permissions, when you go to the global permissions, you will see only the SQL server path only, you will see it here, because only whatever the credentials related data sources, whatever it is there, those paths are only available here itself. Understand? That means whatever the sources you are connecting by giving credentials, those related paths only available in the global permissions. Okay. But when you come to the data source and current file, all that means with giving credentials, without giving credentials, paths are saved here itself. Understand? So that is the difference between data source in current file and global permissions. Okay. Next one is clear permissions. Okay, clear permissions means in clear permissions there are two options are there. There are two options are there. Clear permissions and clear all permissions. See here, clear permissions and clear all permissions. That means, so if you click on clear permissions, what will happen is whatever the source path you are selected, see, I'm selecting this particular path, or else I'm selecting this particular path. Whichever path, whichever path you are selecting, that path permissions will be cleared. That means, so I'm selecting the SQL server. This particular path permissions will be cleared. Click on clear permissions. Only that particular path permissions only it will be cleared. Delete it. Once it is deleted, close this particular window. When you go to the dim table or something, right? Um, okay. I think I'm not able to connect to that particular any data source itself. So click on SQL Server, connect the SQL Server, load the table once. One table you have to load it. Then we can see after clearing the permission, what will happen. We can see it. Okay. Select the server name, and here you need to give the server name, and database name is I already told you, right? Database name is optional. Click on OK. Then here connect the credentials and click on OK. Then under this particular server there are tables are there. Okay, Suppose I'm using float table like this. This is the one. I'm selecting this particular table and load that particular table here into Power BI. So once it is loaded, that means that related path will be saved here itself.
Ravi, I have a question here. Can I ask?
Yeah.
How many data sources can we link to the Power BI? Like,
Yes,
is there any specific limit?
no, there, there are n number of data sources are there. Okay, don't worry, Swagat. I will explain you about all these things. Demo classes, I will explain. Then you will understand how
Sure,
it is.
sure. No, usually, I have a basic idea on the Power Query, so I'm just curious,
Yeah,
whether
there
is
are
it the same
see
way?
if you click on new source, you will see click on more. You will see all the data sources are available here itself. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
got it.
so
Huh.
see these are the data sources. Whichever data
Okay,
source you want to connect it and load the data into the Power BI like this. Okay.
okay,
So
nice.
see, that means in the data source setting, whatever the data sources we are connecting, those related paths are available here itself. Okay. So that means suppose for example, if you select any particular path and click on clear permissions means what will happen, that particular path permissions will be cleared. That means for this particular server, okay, for this particular server, what are all the tables are connected, those all tables are permissions will be removed for all those tables only. That means for this particular server itself, that means for that particular SQL server itself, I'm connecting float table. Another one is data table also I'm connecting. So when I click on float table or data table, if I click on anything, if I do any operation here, immediately it will throw us an error because the permissions are cleared. So you cannot do any operations on that particular table. Again, what you need to do, you need to give the credentials. Okay, so whenever you are giving the credential, then only the table you can see it, otherwise you cannot, because I clear the permissions, right? Permissions means if while we are connecting with the SQL server, I'm giving server name, database name, that is also a permissions, right? So that's the reason when you click on edit credentials, click on connected and click on OK, then automatically those related again, that what will happen again when you give the permissions, again it will point to those particular tables and everything. That means in the data source setting we can clear the particular path permissions. Okay, you understand, Sogat?
Got it, got it.
So once the demo part is completed, you will clear picture about this particular Power BI. Okay.
Sure, Vijay.
See, not only this one, dim table also you can see it now. That means if you clear permissions means whichever path you are selected, that path permissions only it will be cleared. If it is a clear all permissions means what will happen? That clear all permissions means what are all the paths are available here, all the path permissions will be cleared once at a time. That means it will clear all the path permissions will be cleared once at a time. That it is called as clear all permissions. Clear permissions means whichever path you are selected, that path permissions only it will be clear. Okay. Next one is edit permissions. What is edit permissions means when you click on edit permissions, it will ask the permissions. Okay, if you want to, sometimes what will happen in the organizational level, they are changing every 6 months or 1 year. They're changing the server names or user ID and password, and everything they are changing, right? At that time, what you need to do? Suppose if they are changing in the SQL Server tables itself, that means in the SQL Server, if suppose for example, if they are changing the server name or anything, okay, or else it is changing the username and password. If whenever they are changing the username and password into the particular data source, here also in Power BI also you need to change it. Otherwise, what will happen is whenever you are loading the fresh data, at that time immediately it will throw an error, because whatever it is pointing, those names or those server names or user ID password, those are not available. Those are changed, right? If it is changed in that particular data source itself, means here also in Power BI also you need to change it. Okay, that means select this particular path and click on edit permissions. Here there is an edit button is there, right? Click on this edit button. Here if it is username and password is there for the particular SQL server, you need to give the server name. But right now, for connecting to the SQL server, without username and password we can connect it. That's the reason I'm always selecting use my current credentials. Okay. But in the organizational level, you have to choose use alternative credentials, username and password you must and should you need to give it. Otherwise it is not we are not able to connect to that particular server. But our personal things, by using Windows we can connect it. Okay, so if there is any username as password is changing, means select that particular path and click on edit permissions, and you can change your path permissions. Okay, the next one is export PBIDs. Export PBIDs means Power BI data set. What is that? Power BI. Yeah.
అది ఎడిట్ పర్మిషన్స్ లో ఒకటే చెప్పారు, కింద రిమైనింగ్ ఏమి ఎడిట్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు స్వామి.
No need. Okay, only this part only we can use it. Okay, remaining part, like if it is a privacy level, there are 3 types will be there: public, organizational level, private. You are asking on doubt, what is that one? No, Ravi, right? Ravi, in this edit permissions, you can do the operations in this part only. You cannot change anything from here itself. Understand, Ravi? Okay. Is it clear or not? Ravi, are you there? Anyone? Are you able to hear my voice or not? Can anyone confirm it? Are you able to see my screen at least?
యా కనిపిస్తుంది స్వామి, మీ వాయిస్ వినబడుతుంది, మీ స్క్రీన్ కూడా కనిపిస్తుంది.
Okay, so next one is export PBIDs. export PBIDs means Power BI dataset. Okay, that means whichever path you are selected. Okay, that means whichever path you are selected, that path related dataset will be downloaded. That means financial sample is the Excel one, right? For this Excel one, what we are getting financials, right? For the financials, if I want to download this particular Excel means when you click on export, first you have to select whichever data set or whichever Excel you are downloading, that path you are selecting, and click on export PBIDs. When you click on export PBIDs, suppose I'm saving in the location of downloads, okay, and financial sample, I'm with the name I'm saving this one. Once I click on save, then automatically in that location, this particular data set will be downloaded. Okay. Suppose go to that particular downloads folder and see. Okay. So this is the one, right? This is the Power BI dataset. That means whatever path you are selected, what path you are selected there itself, you are selecting financials, financial Excel. That Excel related Excel is downloaded. Okay. So once you download it, if you are opening that particular file itself means again that particular dataset will be loaded into that particular financial Excel and load that particular table into this Power BI. Understand? That means export Power BI, export PBIDs means whatever path you are selected, that path is downloaded. That means that data set is downloaded. The data set, see here, it is directly connected to that particular Excel, financial Excel, because I'm selecting only financial Excel, right? That's the reason that Excel is downloaded. Okay, under the Excel there are number of sheets are there or not. Okay, so in that whichever sheet you want, you can select it and click on load it. That particular data set will be loaded. Understand clearly or not? Okay, this is how we can do it. Okay, if you want to download any particular data set means first you have to select that which data set you want to download, that related path you need to select it and click on export PBIDs. Export PBIDs means Power BI data set. Okay, select that particular path and click on export PBIDs. That particular data set will be downloaded into local system. Understand? Understand or not? Suppose, for example, if you want to change the source of that particular path, okay, suppose here this is an Excel, but this particular Excel, it is not there in this location. Some other location it is changed. Okay, suppose for example, country wise sales is there. Okay, in the country wise sales, it is there in the downloads folder. Okay, so check that particular one. See, country wise sales, what is that one? This is the Excel. Okay, this Excel is there in that particular in the downloads folder that it is pointing. Suppose this particular Excel file is moved from this downloads folder to desktop location. If it is moved means you also need to change that particular location or not. Otherwise, how it will be loaded? So that's the reason. Suppose this particular file location is changed to desktop location. Once it is changed from downloads to desktop location, in Power BI also you need to change this particular path. Path you need to change it, right? So if you want to change it, that particular path, okay, so select that particular path itself. See here, see users Vijay downloads country wise sales 1.xl. In downloads folder, this Excel is there? No, it is moved to from downloads to desktop location. So if any source is changing, that means if any source is changing, okay, source means that path. If the path is changing, any data source related, if path is changing At that time, what you need to do, you need to change that particular path. You need to change that particular data source in Power BI. How you need to do? Select that particular path and click on change source. When you click on change source, okay, it is asking where that particular Excel file is there. Okay, go to that, click on browser, and where the actual file will be there in desktop location, right? Select the desktop, and where that Excel file is there, you have to select that particular one. So see here, my Excel is there in desktop. This is an Excel, right? So you have to select that Excel, click on open it, and click on OK. Then see this particular path is changed. Okay, from downloads folder to desktop location, it will comes like this. If you want to change any particular data source means, then you have to use an option called change source. Not only this one, suppose I want to change this particular SQL server. If it is changing server name or database name like that, if it is changes means, select that particular SQL server related path and click on change source. When you click on change source, it is asking, this window will open here. If there is any server name or anything you want to change, it means here itself you can change it. Not only Excel, not only SQL. If you want to change any particular data source, then you have to use an option called change source. Understand? So if in an organizational, in the organization, every 6 months or 1 year, they are changing the server names and everything. If they are changing the server names or anything means, at that time you have to choose an option called change source and change. See, don't confuse with the change source and edit permissions. Edit permissions means, permissions, that means once a username, password, anything means, if you want to change it means, you need to go to the edit permission. If you want to change the particular source itself, that means location of that particular source is changed, okay, then you have to use an option called change source. Okay, you understand the difference between change source and edit permissions? So Agat, is it clear for you, or you have any doubts in this? Swagat, I am not able to hear your voice. Can you please rejoin this call again? Okay. Next one is manage parameter. What is that? Next one is manage parameter.
Vijay, am I audible now?
Yeah, it's audible now.
Oh, yeah,
It's
all
audible.
clear, all clear. Yeah, data source settings, I understand.
Okay. Next one is manage parameters. Okay. This is an option. In this manage parameter. So first of all, what is a parameter? So parameter is nothing but runtime execution is called as parameter. What is that? Runtime execution is called as parameter. Okay, what is a parameter? Runtime execution. That means whenever we are running the report, at that time, these parameters are executed. These parameters are executed. So based on the parameter value, it will be changes. So this parameter concept is very, very important in Power BI. Very, very important in Power BI. In this particular one, okay, in this parameter, in transform data only, by using manage parameter, you can create a parameter. Okay. In this, there are two types of parameters are there. Okay, in two ways we can create a parameter. One is filtering the column values. Okay, one is filtering the column values. Another one is if you want to change the permissions, if you want to change the server name or a database name or anything, that means if you want to change the environment, that means so dev to production, production to dev, like that it will be there in the organizational. So if you want to change the environment from dev to production, production to dev, like that, at that time also you have to use a parameter, or else another way we need to create a parameter is filtering the column values. That means in the column, you have to apply that particular parameter. In that parameter, what value is there in that column, the same value it will shows like this. Let's see practically. Okay. That means in two ways we can create a parameter. One is filtering the column values. Another one is changing the environment. Changing the environment. Changing the environment. In these two ways, we can create a parameter. These two ways are very important. Listen carefully and understand that. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. The first one is filtering the column values. Suppose we need, that means we need to create a parameter. In that parameter, you need to pass a value. That value, that parameter value, we need to filter in the column values. Let's see how we can do that one. So for creating a parameter, click on manage parameter, click on new parameter, click on new parameter. Here you can give any name of this particular parameter. That means whatever name you want, you can give it. Filtering column value. Okay, so whatever name you want, you can give it here. Okay, after the description is optional, nothing. Okay, if you didn't give anything also, nothing will happen. Okay, next one is type. This is very important. Okay, in this type itself, that means in this parameter, what values you need to store, either a decimal value or a numeric value or a character value or a date value, what you need to choose it. So whatever you value you need to store, based on the data type, you have to select it here. Understand? This is a data type. That means in that particular parameter, what value we can store, this data type will mention it. This data type will mention it. In this particular type, you have to select whichever you want. But always you need to select any, because any will support all the data types. That means if you pass a parameter value as a character, you can pass it. If you pass a numeric value, this any will support it. If you pass a decimal value, this will support it. If you pass a date value, this type will support it. Understand? So always you need to select the type is any. Next one is suggested value. Suppose not only in this particular suggested value, you can give single values or you can give multiple values also. First of all, we need to see if you pass a single value, how we can filter it. If you pass multiple values, how we can filter it. Let's see here. If I want to pass a single value in the parameter, if I want to pass a single value, then you have to select any value. Okay. And here I'm giving Canada. Whatever the value is there, what value you want to filter in the column, that value you need to give it here. In the current value, in this text box, you need to give it. And click on OK. Okay, whenever you click on OK, then what will happen? The parameter is created. Now once the parameter is created, once the parameter is created, you have to pass this parameter value in the column. Okay, So which column you want to filter this particular parameter value? Go to that particular data set column. Okay. So in the financials, there is a country column is there. In this country column, I want to filter only whatever parameter value is there. That parameter value only I need to filter it. So first, for which column you want to filter it, go to that particular column and click on this particular drop down, and you will see there is a text filters out there. What is that? Text filters. Click on this equals. Once you click on equals, okay, once you click on equals, here this is an operator, equals operator. That means when you select this particular drop down, here you will see a text filters, right? In this text filters, okay, these are the operators, different operators. Equals, does not equals, begins with, does not begins with, ends with, does not ends with. Like this, there are different operators are there. You have to select one operator and click on equals, and after clicking on equals, here you need to select a parameter. Okay, in this particular one, here you need to select a parameter. Once you click on parameter, what parameter name is there, that parameter name you have to select it in this particular drop down. Okay, so I have only one parameter, that I am selecting here. Okay, so click on OK. See, in this particular column itself, what values are filtered here? Canada values only, because in that particular parameter value, whatever we are passed it, that particular parameter value here itself, in this particular column itself, we are filtering it. Suppose after filtering that one, if you change anything in this parameter value, automatically that column, in that column also the same value it will be passed. Suppose for example, instead of Canada, I am changing the parameter value is Mexico. What is that? Mexico. If I'm changing that one, see, when you go to the financials data set, in this particular country column, see the Mexico column is filtered. That means once you apply that particular parameter to that particular column, after that, if you change anything in the parameter value, then automatically in that particular data set itself, that column value will be automatically changed. Understand? Not only thing, anything if you change it in the parameter, this particular country column will be changed. Understand? So this is how we can pass a single value. Okay, we can pass the single value. Suppose if I want to pass multiple values, that means multiple country values, then what you need to do, you need to change that particular parameter single value to multiple value. If you want to change it, means come to parameter, select that particular parameter and click on manage parameter. Okay, when you click on manage parameter, at the time of creating a parameter, whatever window it is open, that window will open. In this window, your suggested value is, you need to select a list of values. What is that? If you want to pass a single value in that particular parameter, you have to select a suggested value as any value. If you want to pass multiple values into that particular parameter, means list of values you have to pass. When you select a list of values, this is the window will open here. This is a box. In this box itself, whatever values are there, you can give it here. Suppose, for example, Canada. Okay. If you give multiple values, multiple row values, means click on this plus button. Then here you need to give another value like this, France. Another value I need to give. Then again, you need to click on this plus button new. Or else in your keyboard, down arrow is there, right? By clicking on that also, new row will be created. Like this, see here, Mexico. Like this, I passed multiple values into the. No need of giving any column, just giving the values. Okay. After giving that, default value is whatever you want, you can select it, man. Okay. Suppose Canada, I'm selecting default value. Current value is also suppose Canada or something, whatever you want, you can select it initially here. Click on OK. Once you click on OK, that means in the financials, whatever I'm selecting in the whatever value is selected in the parameter, that value is filtered here itself. Okay, that means suppose if I want to select a Mexico, because in the parameter we are passing multiple values or not, France, Canada, Mexico. Suppose come to the parameter, if I want to change it from Canada to Mexico, here there is a drop down is available. In this drop down, whichever country value you want, you can select it. Once you click on selected, see, then automatically go to that financial, you will see France. If I'm changing Mexico in the parameter, Mexico is filtered like this. So go to the financials, there you will see Mexico. That means whatever value, if you pass a multiple values in the parameter, so whatever value you are selecting, based on that automatically in the column level, that value only will be. Okay, is it clear or not? Swagat and Ravi.
విజయ్ యాక్చువల్లీ నాకు డౌట్ ఉంది ఇక్కడ.
Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు ఫిల్టర్ కి పారామీటర్ కి డిఫరెన్సెస్ ఏంటి?
పారామీటర్ అంటే మనం పారామీటర్ ఫిల్టరింగ్ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే మనం పర్టికులర్ సపోజ్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇలా ఉన్నదండి. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ కాలం ఉంది కదా, ఈ కాలం ని మనకి ఏం కావాలో అంటే వాట్ ఎవర్ వాల్యూస్ యూ వాంట్. ఓకే,
అవును,
యు ఆర్ సెలెక్టింగ్ రైట్, దిస్ ఈస్ దిస్ ఈస్ ఫిల్టరింగ్. ఓకే, బట్ పారామీటర్ మీన్స్ you don't want to filter individually here itself. Okay, so whatever values you are passed, you just pass it in the parameter. Whatever value you can select, you can change it automatically. That value will be filtered in this particular table itself.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు పారామీటర్ లో మల్టిపుల్ కూడా చేయొచ్చా మనం? అంటే ఒకేసారి మెక్సికో, ఫ్రాన్స్ అండ్ కెనడా డేటాను తీసుకురావచ్చా?
No. Oh, one after the other only we can do it.
అచ్చా, ఓకే. అంటే ఒక వాల్యూ ఒకసారి ఒక వాల్యూ చూపించగలం.
So see, in the drop down also, suppose in the drop down it won't show the multiple things right here itself. So whenever you click on drop down, whichever values you want, you can select it here. But in the parameter it is not. One after the other only we can do it.
అచ్చా, ఓకే. అంటే అప్పుడు దీనికి మేజర్ డిఫరెన్స్ అంటూ ఏమీ లేదు కదా అని, అంటే అలా అంటే నా ఒపీనియన్ అన్నమాట. మామూలుగా నేను ఫిల్టర్ యూస్ చేసుకోవడం, నేను ఫిల్టర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు కదా డేటా.
There is no difference when we are filtering directly to the column. There is no difference will be there, like parameter and this one. There is no difference will be there. But you know how to create a parameter also, right? So that's the reason I will tell you how we can filter the parameter value to that particular column.
Okay, got it.
Okay, next one is what is the next option? Next type is changing the environment. What is changing the environment? Suppose for example, what will happen? Suppose for example, I'm creating a tables, right? These two, that means date table and flow table, is getting from where we are getting these two tables? We are getting these two tables from SQL Server data, right? Okay, so that means here, suppose for example, these are in an organizational level, these two tables are pointing to the dev server. Suppose the report is ready and everything is okay with that, then the user is saying that please move to the production. That means you're changing the server from dev to production, right? At that time, what you will do, select that particular table
and go to the advanced editor. Okay, in the advanced editor, this is the place where you can change the server name. That means that means if there are 10 tables are there or 15 tables are there, for all the 15 tables, select that particular table itself and go to the advanced editor, and here itself you can change the server name. That means for each and every table you need to select it and go to the advanced editor. There you can change the server name. That means it is also a button. That means if suppose if any one table you are missing the changing the server name, it will be impacted, right? That's the reason. So in the organizational level, they are maintaining a different servers. Dev, production, production to dev are like that. Sometimes while we are developing the report, at that time we are pointing to the dev related tables. Okay. Once the report is ready, then we will change that particular server to production, right? If I want to change it means select that particular table itself and go to the advanced editor, you can change the server name like this. Suppose for example, if 20 tables are there, for each and every 20 table you are changing. Okay, this is also time based will happen. So then we need to introduce a environment changing parameter. Create that particular parameter, and how simple it is, let's see. Okay, in this I'm creating a new parameter. Once I click on new parameter, here I'm writing name, anything you can give it. Change environment. Okay, change environment. Okay, so I'm giving the name like this, and type you have to always, you need to select for changing the environment parameter, you have to select only any, and suggested value also any only. And here you need to pass. So here suppose in suggested value you have to take the list of values. Sorry, you have to take the list of value. In that particular list of values, you need to pass dev server related and production server name related here. Okay, but in my case, I have only one server is there, so that's the reason it is there. But in the organizational level, there are 2 to 3 server names will be there. The same thing you need to pass it here itself. Okay, those server names, in this is the dev server name. So in the first row I'm selecting, in the second row you have to pass the production server. Okay, so once you pass it, in the default value you have to select that particular one, and current value also you have to select that particular, anything you can select, and click on OK. And now the parameter is created with that particular. Okay, so once the parameter is created, what you need to do, whatever the tables are connected to that particular server, at least one table you see. For the SQL server, how many tables are connected here itself? Only 2 tables, date table as well as float table. Okay, so in any one table you have to select it. Okay, select that particular table, any one table. Out of 20 tables are there, for suppose 20 tables are there, in all those 20 tables, one table you have to select it, any table you have to select it, and go to the data source settings. Here there is a which path, that means you have to select the particular path itself. Which path is pointing to that particular, that SQL Server path, you have to select it and click on change source. Once you click on change source, see only the server name is different. Okay, dev to production, production to dev, only the server names are different. Database names are same. Okay, don't worry about that one. So that's the reason I'm creating a parameter with server names only, not the database. If you want the database name, for that you are creating a database parameter. So here I'm selecting the server as a parameter here. Okay, and here you need to select that particular parameter name. What is the parameter name here? Change environment. Okay. So you have to select that particular one and click on OK. Whenever you click on OK, what will happen is, what are all the tables are pointing to that particular server? All the table server names are changed once at a time. See how simple it is? Without selecting each and every table, changing that particular server name. Instead of that, one table, if we select it and change that particular server name, that means change that particular server to parameter server name, then automatically all the tables are changed. See here, only for I'm selecting date table and changing that particular server name. So if you want, if float table also the same thing, right? But float table also, how it will be changed? It means go to the advanced editor and see here, the name is automatically passed here. That means in a parameter, if you create a environment changing environment means server names. Okay, in organizational level, they are maintaining a different servers, dev related server and production related. For those server names, you are create a parameter. In that, after creating a parameter, whatever tables you are pointed, one table you have to select it and go to the data source settings. Where you need to go to the data source setting, and after that, whichever server SQL server related is there, that path you have to select. This is very important. And after that, click on change source. Once you click on change source, here itself you need to select the server parameter name. Okay, parameter, and after that parameter value you have to change it. That's it. Okay, so that means suppose for example that is a dev server. Suppose if the client is saying production server, move all the tables to production, then what you need to do, in the change environment, you are passing multiple server names here itself, right? So you can select another production related server name, and automatically these tables are pointing to production related thing. See how simple it is? If this parameter is not there, then what we need to do? In each and every table, you have to select it and change the parameter. Like that we are doing. So this is how we can change the environment from one environment to another environment. Understand clearly? Swagat, is it clear for you or not? Swagat? Ravi?
Yes, Vijay. Yes.
Okay, so this is environment. This is about the parameter. Okay, so tomorrow we need to discuss about the new thing. Okay, so tomorrow there is no class, Ravi, for you, because I need to give the demo classes to these persons, so you don't attend it. Okay, understand, Ravi? You already covered it. If you are interested to join it, I didn't have any problem. You can join it also, but there is no class for you. There is no class. It again Monday we can discuss. Understand?
Okay,
Ravi?
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye. We can stop it here. And tomorrow, Swagat, I will mention you at what time you need to connect it. At that time,